Hello, my friends. How are you doing today? I'm talking to you from New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand to be precise. It's been a very full couple of weeks. Been here 2 weeks today. And overall, it's been absolutely amazing. I mean, you can't turn your head without seeing something incredibly beautiful here. But that's not why I'm making this video today. I wanted to talk to you about something deeply personal to me. On Friday, I lost my dad. And I am incredibly grateful that I got to spend 3 weeks with him just before he died. I mean, we didn't know he was going to die. It wasn't expected. He went very peacefully in his recliner with his glasses on, a book by his side, and the cat in his lap. Yeah, of course I'm going to miss him. The reason I'm making this video, though, is to talk about death and how important it is. You know, my father and I didn't always have the best relationship. He was just 19 when I was born. He himself had a very, very difficult childhood, very abused. His mother had, this is going to be a very, very personal video. You're going to hear a lot of things that are not public knowledge. His mother had been married in World War II, and while that gentleman was off fighting the war, she had an affair with some fella from Australia, a guy whose last name was Clayton. That's all we know. And as soon as she got pregnant, he left. From what I hear, he wasn't the greatest guy. But my grandmother had a divorce. She wasn't going to, I guess, stay with her husband. She was also very, very young, like 18. And a few years later, she met a man named Mac, or Edward McKinnell. And he married her and adopted my father. But he was, although I liked my grandfather, not the greatest guy in the world, to be quite honest. He was cheating on my grandmother almost immediately. Followed another woman from England. My father was born in England. Followed another woman from England to Canada, and then on to the United States, carrying on a relationship with her, and even brought his family over with him. So my father did spend some time in the United States growing up. And then they moved back to England. One day my father was 14 years old and skipping school. And he heard his parents come home. So he hid under the bed, and they were having an argument. And that's when he found out that his father wasn't really his father. And he was saying to his wife, my grandmother, that he wanted to go back to America. And my grandmother said, as long as you're not going after that woman, I'll go with you. And my grandfather said, well, I want to bring our son Ian, but I don't want to bring Graham, my father. He's not my child and I don't want him. Can you imagine what that did to my dad? So my dad stayed with his grandmother. Not the friendliest person in the world either, from what I hear. A little bit cold, reserved, typical sometimes of older British women. And especially in that time. And I also found out from my dad in one of our last conversations that mental illness is a big problem in his family, and that many people had committed suicide in the family. So there was that. But He quit school at 14. Brilliant man, self-educated. Started he was a milkman on a little motorcycle. Then he joined a motorcycle gang, which, this is the 50s, maybe 1960. So I don't think it was that big a deal at that point. But he did get in trouble with the law, and he was offered a choice. He could either go to jail or he could join the army. So at 18, he joined the army. Now, in England, there is an unusual system where you can be bought out of the army in your first year of service. And he convinced a young lady to do just that. And then he promptly got on a plane for the United States and left her behind. As I said, my father was a complicated man. He met my mom working in a factory, and they went out, and they got pregnant. That was me. So I think there was some resentment there as well. So my childhood wasn't very easy. He was very difficult to get along with as when I was a child. Hypercritical and can be violent. But the reason I'm sharing this is because he did change. It took a long time, but he did change. And we went 18 years without talking to one another. Still don't know why. He just, after my son was born, my son was maybe a year old, maybe 2, my father just up and left. He left his wife, not a bad thing at that point, that particular wife. He'd been married 5 times. And just disappeared for 18 years. And then I was in the hospital, and it wasn't anything super serious. I just had an infection I had to have excised. And he called me. And we started talking, and I even asked him, why did you stop talking to me? And he said he didn't know. But about 3 years ago, after I had my surgery and started losing all that weight, I had the opportunity to see him before I moved down to Brazil. And that was the first time I'd seen him in many years. And it was a good homecoming. I then again saw him this past February when I was doing a documentary for Netflix. And then I went down to see him before I went back home to Colombia. And it was a really, really nice 10 days. And then because of a friend of mine, also one of our directors, Bill Slevin, he had set up an appearance, I guess you'd say, at a horror movie convention for me in Orlando in August. I was able to arrange to go see him again, my dad. And we spent 3 weeks together. It was a great 3 weeks. It really was. We walked on the beach together. We went out. He was always excited he was a great chef, great gourmet chef. And he would spend like every Saturday or Sunday arranging what we were going to have for the entire week. And we're talking there was this Moroccan chicken dish with whole lemons that were cooked down so you could eat the entire lemon, skin and all, just amazingly delicious. Escargot and lamb shanks, and the man could cook. And I know he was very, very proud of me and really excited about the future for me. I'm going to regret, deeply regret, that he's not going to get to see that future. And of course, it really hurts that his wife Teresa, who he was with for 18 years, best relationship he ever had, that she's going to have to go on without him. And she is only 4 years older than me, so there's a long road ahead of her. I'm going to do everything I can to be there for her and include her in the same exact plans I planned on including him with. But my point to all this is Don't don't let time pass you by. Don't let it slip away. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to reach out to someone. It's never too late to say I love you. And it is the greatest thing in the world to know that you were able to do that. That's not a regret you want, is to not have that opportunity. So do what you can. Love who you want to love. And make sure they know it. Like I said, this one was a completely personal sharing with you. It's important to me, and I wanted to share it with you. God bless you all. Thank you so much for your support. It really means the world to me.